Today on Positive Talk Daily, we're comparing the iPhone 11 to the iPhone SE third generation. And should you even purchase any of these phones? Now, we're also on YouTube at Mr. Positive Live. Please click on the bell icon and get notified when we go live and do videos just like this. This is a comparison video of the iPhone SE third generation versus the iPhone 11. This one was released in the fall of October of, I believe it was September or October of 2019. The iPhone SE, is 3 years newer and was released in 2022, almost 4 years actually. It was released in 2022. So, this one was released around COVID. This one was released well after COVID. So what you're getting here is a pretty good, it's a pretty good matchup actually. Here you're getting a 6.1 inch LCD display, as Apple calls it, liquid retina display. It's just a standard LCD screen with 600 nits of brightness. It's not the worst screen. It's not the best screen, okay? You're getting a 6.1 inch screen, which is nice. You're getting the notch at the top. You are also getting the, basically, you're getting pretty sizable bezels on this device. Around the back, you do have two cameras. You do have a 12 megapixel iSight camera with an ultra wide, which is nice to see. And you get stereo speakers. It's a glass back, and you also have lightning charging. So you have the lightning port for charging, your power button in there, and it uses Face ID to unlock. So no fingerprint on this device. Moving over to the iPhone SE third generation, it's a 4.7 inch Retina display with the same brightness at 600 nits. And, you're getting a pretty snappy overall performance here. You do have a 7 megapixel front-facing camera. They both actually have 7 megapixel front-facing cameras. So the selfie cameras are the same. The back camera on here, though, the difference is you only have one camera on the iPhone SE third generation, and that's a 12 megapixel iSight camera that can record in 4K 60 and isn't necessarily a terrible camera by any means. It can still record in 4K 60, same as the iPhone 11. But there are some advantages to the iPhone 11. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes. Now, what are you getting between these two? You're getting the A13 Bionic chip on the iPhone SE. The A13 Bionic chip is still a very decent chipset, even in 2025 standards. This is basically going on 6 years old, a 5-year-old smartphone. And with a 5-year-old, 6-year-old smartphone, you're still going to see some, you're going to see some skips here and there. You're still getting the same 60 hertz refresh rate as you will on here. You're getting slightly more modern design versus on the iPhone 11. So the iPhone 11 is giving you multiple things. You're getting a slightly larger battery at, I believe it's like 2,000 milliamp hour, 2,500 milliamp hour battery, something like that. And, you're getting a bigger screen. So that's a big difference right there. You're getting a slightly more modern look, more average to an iPhone 13 or 14. This here is stuck in the past. This has the standard iPhone 8 look. Okay, so it looks kind of dated. And for some reason, you can see that this is a better panel than this panel. Okay, they're both IPS panels, but for some reason you get way more reflection in this one. So you're going to get it may not be necessarily about the same brightness, but you're getting better screen technology in the iPhone, even though it's IPS panel. Okay, it's also a glass back, same as this as well. This has wireless charging. This has wireless charging. So they're very comparable in that matter. You are getting a bigger screen, so if you're using you want this iPhone for media consumption, the iPhone 11 is a much better device than the iPhone SE third generation. Now, where it gets interesting is it comes down to the chipset. This is the A13 Bionic, which is it's a 2.6 gigahertz chipset. This one is rocking 3.2 gigahertz, so it's a big difference. The SE here, the SE third generation, is giving you a 2-year difference in the chipset, so you're getting 2 chips ahead of the iPhone 13. So this is the A15 Bionic chip with 3.2 gigs of chipset. So much faster when it comes to opening applications. You may not notice it so much, but in the camera opening apps and gaming and stuff, this might be a better phone. Now, this can still game. There's not much of a huge difference in performance. You'll get in the upper 1000s on Geekbench numbers. This will get you well into the 2000s. And multi-score, this is about 7,000 in the Geekbench numbers. Anywhere in the 6 to 7,000 for multi-score. This is stuck in the 4,000s. So much better in multitasking. And you're getting a better chipset, so you're going to get better performance when it comes to gaming. Okay, so the SE third generation has the better chipset, which is the same chipset found in the iPhone 13 and the standard iPhone 14 with 6 gigs of RAM. The only difference with this phone is, and overall, you're getting, I would take the iPhone 11 in some reasons because you're getting a better camera setup with 2 cameras versus 1. You are getting a ultra-wide lens, which helps with better camera photography. And you're getting the same 12 megapixel performance, but thanks to that A15 Bionic chip, you may get slightly better performance out of this phone here for cameras. Now, neither one is really a battery champ. This one here does have much better battery life. You're looking at more like 2 hours of battery time versus this one, which runs out after maybe 4 or 5 hours of use, okay? Good news is both have wireless charging. Neither one of these are MagSafe. You can buy MagSafe cases for both phones, but neither phone is MagSafe, okay? Overall, the SE third generation is the better phone in the performance, but in all, you're getting a full iPhone experience with the iPhone 11. You're getting 2 cameras that you would find on even a modern day iPhone. You're getting a 6.1-inch screen, which you find on most traditional new iPhones as well. You are getting pretty much the same battery as most modern iPhones on the iPhone 11. You're getting a slightly more modern look than this one here, which is a dated iPhone 8 look. And you're overall getting, a better battery. And that's a big difference. The stereo speakers also sound better on iPhone 11 for some reason. And the battery for charging is quicker on here. So you will get better wireless charging performance versus here on the iPhone SE third generation. Now, where does the iPhone SE third generation win in? Again, that would be in the specs department. You will also receive updates longer on the iPhone SE. This is the last year. It may get iOS 19. They're talking about it. We'll see. This does have 4 gigs of RAM. This is when Apple started upping it from the XS Max to the iPhone 11 to 4 gigs. This gives you 4 gigs as well. So you're not going to see a huge difference in performance. The entry level for storage for iPhone 11 is 64 gigs. Same for the iPhone SE. Okay, this one will usually run you a little bit cheaper because it is smaller battery life, smaller footprint, will be cheaper. This is giving you a much better screen. It's the same brightness on both phones, but you are getting better viewing angles and less interference with the screen. Several things to understand with these two phones, okay? Before we go, again, you're going to get slightly better performance overall. Even though this phone looks dated, you will get better performance with the iPhone SE third generation. Apple was just selling this this was their budget iPhone only until about February of this past year. So the iPhone SE was relatively selling it relatively well for elderly people and people with smaller hands were buying this phone just about no more than 2 months ago. So Apple discontinued it as soon as they released the iPhone 16e. Okay. Now let's get into the positives of both these phones and negatives. First off, here are the negatives for the iPhone 11. There is no 5G support. Okay, and that's a big deal because if you live in an area that by 2030, now you got multiple years to obviously, get a phone that has 5G connectivity. If you are looking for a budget iPhone and you don't really care about the screen size and, the mega counts in the cameras and things like that, and you're more about connectivity and staying future-proof, the iPhone SE third generation may not look future-proof, but it does have your back on 5G connectivity, 5G plus connectivity, and things like that. You can get that with the iPhone SE thanks to the same chipset found in the iPhone 13 and 14 with that A15 Bionic chip, which is still relatively fast in all-day usage. Here, you're going to be stuck with a 4G LTE network. I'm not saying they're going to phase it out everywhere, but in some countries, it will eventually be 5G everywhere and eventually 6G. So this will be outdated within a few years. So the iPhone 11 is still a really decent running phone for, everyday applications. We compared it to an iPhone 16e just about a week ago. So we know this phone is really decent and still capable of handling most, even games thrown at it. Where this phone is going to beat it is in the 5G connectivity, the fact it's got a slightly better chipset, actually quite a bit better chipset. And you will get a similar RAM, but this is going to handle applications better. Okay, where this phone's going to win out is in the battery life, its screen size. It is also a slightly better viewing angle. Okay, so if you want to use this for viewing consumption, if you want the cameras, the iPhone 11 is going to be a much better option than this phone. The cameras on here are similar to what's on the iPhone 12 and 13. You will not get that on the iPhone SE. You'll get 2x zoom on here. You will not get 2x zoom on here. It's a cropped. If there is 2x zoom, it's cropped. Okay. The phone here, you're talking apples and oranges. You're getting a 4.7-inch Retina display. You're getting a 6.1-inch Retina display. So take your pick. One supports 5G. One supports 4G LTE, which doesn't really matter right now. But in 5 years, if you're still rocking an iPhone 11 and you can't get data and maybe even make a phone call, you'll wonder why. Well, why do I still have this 10-year-old device? This is the much better option. I'm not saying people are going to be buying this in 10 years, but when we look at the iPhone 5S, phones like this that are similar to this, that still sold no more than 3 or 4 years ago, this is still a really good phone. Now, yes, the iPhone 11 is probably the pick most people are going to pick. It's the more modern looking iPhone, even though it is still dated in some ways. It is still a more modern looking device. We see the 16e rehashing a lot of this same, performance and look. But the iPhone 11 is still a really good phone. It's why it's one of the best-selling iPhones Apple ever made. The iPhone 11, really solid build, Gorilla Glass 3, and you got a decent build quality on both these phones. Both have glass back. So when it comes to the build quality, both phones get a tie. Okay, I can't really say much. They both feel good in the hand. The iPhone SE actually feels a little better in the hand because it's lighter. But the 11 is still a really nice phone and still has some weight to it as well. If I had to choose, and I sound stupid saying this, even though this doesn't have the best battery life, I would have to take the iPhone SE. You're getting the better chipset. I'm more about performance than anything. You're getting good performance. You're getting 5G connectivity. You can always replace the battery for much cheaper than you can here. Okay, most consumers might take the iPhone SE. The iPhone 11 because of its more up-to-date look slightly, and it kind of looks like a modern iPhone to some degree in its size, and in fact it has 2 cameras. Where I would pick the iPhone 11 is, again, in the cameras, because it does shoot 4K on the front-facing camera, even though it's the same selfie camera. This does shoot in 4K 60 on the front and back, and you pretty much get the iPhone experience. Now, if we're talking iOS updates and longevity, this is going to be the phone for you. If you're expecting iOS 19 through 21, you'll get it on here. You will get 3 to 4 more years of security updates and software updates. Probably maybe 2 to 3 years in software updates, and security, probably 3 to 4. This, maybe 2 more years of security updates and 1 more year of support from Apple. Okay, we'll find out in a few days. The point is, if you have to choose, do you want the longevity or the style? That's the tough pick right now. These are 2 budget iPhones you can choose from that are well under $200. The iPhone 11 is giving you the cameras of a traditional iPhone. It's giving you the traditional iPhone experience, and it's going to get another year of updates. So if you're stuck with an iPhone 11, I would say stick with an iPhone 11 if you have to choose between this and an iPhone 13. This is worth the $250, I think so. If you do find this for $250, $150, let's say you find it on eBay and it's new, sealed for $200, $199, that's a hell of a fucking deal. You're getting really good camera performance. You're getting a really good camcorder. It can shoot video in 4K. You don't see any phones, even at $150, used shooting in 4K. So if you need a phone for a camera or Zoom calls and stuff, this is a hell of a phone. or a backup phone, give it to your son. And guess what? People aren't going to make fun of you. If you give this to your kid, they're not going to make fun of your kid in school because it's an iPhone. Looking at it from far away, you wouldn't even be able to tell if it was an iPhone 13. You could tell by the camera layout, but you couldn't tell if this was, say, an iPhone 13 or 12 or even the new iPhone 16 with that same camera layout. Okay, they went back to that. So if you brought this to school, your kids may get making fun of. They may be made fun of because that one camera, it's outdated. It looks like something of an iPhone 8 or 6. This is a more modern design here. This is a much better design overall experience. And you can see it shadows this phone big time. So overall, if I had to choose, yes, I'm going to take the SE third generation. It's more powerful. It's going to expect more. It's going to get more updates, more software updates. Even though people dog this phone and the 16E, these are solid phones. The problem with Apple is they just overprice these older phones. This was never meant to be a $400 or $500 phone, but it's a good phone. It's got longevity. It's got software updates for the next few years. It's newer, so you will get the latest iPhone experience. You will experience decent 5G performance in everyday usage. Even though you got to replace, maybe you have to replace the battery after a year or so, it is still the better choice when it comes to choosing between an iPhone 11 from 6 years ago or choosing an iPhone SE third generation. Yes, the iPhone 11 is still a good phone, and if this is what you own, and use, good news is Apple's still supporting it for 1 more year and 2 more years of soft security updates. So you don't have to worry about that. The iPhone 11 is still a solid phone if you don't mind having 4G LTE or if you're just using this as a media device. It's a hell of a phone. My friend uses it to do his YouTube videos. That's how good of a camera it is. Trust me. And the iPhone 11 Pro Max, still a hell of a phone as well. This, though, is the winner. The iPhone SE third generation may have the older body, the older frame. I prefer a smaller phone. I prefer a phone that can fit good in my hand. I'm less likely to drop this. I have pretty big hands, and I'm less likely to drop this. I just prefer the style. I like having the home button. I do like Face ID, and that is one benefit to this phone. You will get Face ID with the iPhone 11. You won't get that on the iPhone SE third generation. If you're updating from, say, an iPhone SE 1 generation or the 2 generation from 2020, this, it's really up to you. I would skip out on the iPhone 11 because it does have lack of 5G. If you're coming from a 4G LTE phone and you don't really give a shit and you're on a budget, iPhone 11 is probably better than this one when you're looking at it from that standpoint. From a budget consumer, this is cheaper, but if you want the full iPhone experience, you're getting 2 cameras, you're getting the 6.1-inch screen. No, it's not OLED, but it's still a good panel overall. This here is a more dated look. It's got a smaller battery. You're going to have to charge this a lot more than you will this. You might have to carry around a battery case because I know they sell them for the iPhone 8, but it's still a good phone. I prefer this one because of the chipset, the performance, the things I do with video editing. It's much better than the iPhone 11. It's faster, by about twice as fast. We're talking 35% faster than the iPhone 11. So the A15 Bionic chip is the way to go if you want longevity and performance, because this is just as good as an iPhone 14, really. For Mr. Positive Live, I'm Mr. Positive. Take the iPhone SE third generation over the iPhone 11, depending on what you're looking for. You want a phone with 2 cameras or larger battery life? Yeah, hell, the iPhone 11 is still a really solid deal. If you do have to go with an iPhone 11, I suggest go with the iPhone 11 Pro Max or iPhone 11 Pro. It's not much cheap. It's not much more expensive than the standard iPhone 11. You're getting an OLED display. You're getting a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, 3,500 milliamp hour battery, and you're getting a 6.5-inch screen if you go with the Pro Max version.